Hello everyone, it's Tracy from my wildlife garden. Just a quick catch up. Talking about weeds, it's no mow May, but I want to show you some of the weeds that grow in my garden that I keep. There's one I'd love help with identification because it was here last year and it's here again this year. It's this great big, it looks like dandelion, but it's not dandelion, and it has these tall flower spikes. And then it produces these beautiful little daisy yellow flowers at the top. It's really gorgeous plant and the insects love it, so I'm not sure what it is. It's very big. If you look at the size of my hand compared to it, the leaves are very long, a bit hairy. Would be great for help with ID. Behind it we've got, just peeping out of the lemon balm, is the lovely herb robert. Very welcome in the garden, great source of food for hoverflies, although the weather we've had this year so far has not been conducive to insects. Hardly seen any hoverflies or bees or butterflies at the moment. It's a bit concerning considering we're on the 17th of May. But anyway, let's hope as the weather's starting to stay a bit more warm and less heavy rain that more insects will appear, but it's very late for them. Next in my wildlife collection of weeds, as they're so called, is this one. This is little wood avens. It spreads. I think people class weeds are the plants that spread easily. Some weeds are more acceptable than others. I mean, forget-me-not really is a kind of weed, as you can see the little forget-me-not there, and that seems to be accepted quite readily. But dandelions, which spread everywhere, my dandelions have just gone over now, there's one here, they're just going to seed. Wood avens spreads very easily. This is, I know it as Welsh poppy. That's more acceptable, people accept that. Herb robert, not many people like it, a lot don't like the smell. So that's just in the path at the moment. I'm scanning as we go up the garden to see what else there is. Let's have a look. One of the worst plants for wildflowers for being hated by most people is bindweed. You can see bindweed growing up my fence there. Well, I've always had bindweed in this garden from when I moved in, and I allow some of the bindweed to grow and some of it I just control. Like here, this piece here is growing in the border, so I gently pull it out. It weakens it. It never gets rid of it, but it weakens it. But the stuff that grows up the fence I'm more than happy with because it's a great food source for bumblebees. Let's have a look at this one here. There's another one here growing into the border, so I just follow it down because it can crowd out other plants. As you know, it's quite a dominant plant. Get as near to the bottom as I can and out it comes. So anything that's growing up and through the plants I'll remove, but anything growing up the fence just stays, or I pinch it out and that helps as well. I just keep pulling. I've not been in the garden much, but when I'm in it more actively, I'll be pulling it out more. So anything that grows in amongst the flowers, I will pull out to control, but anything growing up the fence can grow up the fence, and as I say, it's a great food source for bees. Let's have a look. There's another plant here. I've even heard Monty Don say he's not keen on this plant. This is called shining geranium. Only has a tiny pink little flower on it, but again it's a wildflower. Lots of our insects in this country have adapted to the plants that grow in this country and been grown here for a long time. So it's grown in the gravel patch here, and there's a bit in a couple of pots, and I allow that to grow. Again, it's great for nectar source for insects, so it stays, and I just control it by pulling it where I don't want it. I haven't got native bluebells, I have got Spanish bluebells, and I know that there's quite concern about those, especially if you live anywhere near wild bluebells. My robin's pestering me for food. It's in the shed, you can go in the shed. Native bluebells, obviously the Spanish bluebells will dominate, and they could cause a problem amongst our native beautiful bluebells, but I'm not anywhere. I live in the middle of a very urban area. There's nothing close to me where there are bluebells. There's a wood near me, but you're talking miles. You're talking about 3 miles away. So, yeah, I don't worry about the Spanish bluebells in my garden, and the hairy-footed flower bee has been using them since they've popped up. So, again, another important nectar source in the garden. And our insects are in such trouble now. I'm not going to pull out anything that I don't think that they need. So the Spanish bluebells will stay in my garden for the time being. Here's an acceptable one. It's foxglove. It's in amongst the shining geranium here. Shiny geranium. Foxglove, that's a native and a wildflower. Accepted. It's pretty and people accept that one. We've got a vetch here, self-seeded vetch. Not sure which one it is actually. This is, I presume, has been brought in by the birds. That's been in that pot for a couple of years now, self-seeded. Let's see what else I've got that's classed as a troublesome weed. Obviously dandelions have been growing in the garden, but as you can see they've all gone over now. They were beautiful, but they've all gone to seed now. But the seeds are great for the birds, so they stay. You will see. You can tell when the birds have been eating them, they get sort of stripped down. What else have I got? Oh, I know what else I've got, and this is everywhere now, is this one, and this is ragwort, an absolutely vital plant source for our cinnabar caterpillar. It's the only thing they eat, and there used to be a large patch by me on some waste ground, but all the waste ground by me now is being dug up and being used for building on, and the nearest to me has gone. It's all been stripped off, ready for housing. So I'm glad to say it's grown in my garden now, and we had cinnabar caterpillars on it last year, and I hope to see them on it again this year. So ragwort, there's another controversial weed. Let's see what else have we got. There's more there. This is ragwort. In amongst my long grass that I haven't cut. This is a grass patch that I haven't cut. This is where I saw, I don't know if I can find it now, I spotted the gorgeous speckled wood butterfly laying its eggs on the blades of grass. Here we are, here's one, I think, down here. This might be one down, I can't find my finger. Can you? Might be one here, little egg. But yeah, only thing is my granddaughter came marching through it yesterday. She's only 2. I wasn't out, but my husband was with her, and she pretended it was the bear hunt story. She was swish-swashing through the long grass, so hopefully she hasn't caught the eggs that were on here. But yeah, some butterflies obviously need grass, so leave some long grass if you can. I've got plenty. It runs all along here, as you can see, all the way up there, and I've got another big patch here, and that patch behind me, some under the bird bath. So here stays long. Okay, and there's that patch there, and I just cut around them where I walk to sort out the beds. Another plant that people are not keen on in their garden, here it is, like Velcro. It's cleavers or sticky willy, so there's lots of names. Again, not a plant liked by anyone, but recently I saw someone on YouTube posting a video of the wonderful hummingbird hawk moth laying its eggs on this plant. So again, it grows in lots of places, and again I pull it out where I don't want it, and where I'm not too worried about it, it stays. Especially up that fence at the back, it grows up there in particularly. But yeah, so that can stay in my garden, and it's great fun for kids to play with, isn't it? I mean, it's just like Velcro. There's another one. Another one is is Jack by the Hedge. Here it is. A good being wrapped by a bit of cleavers. A very important food source for the orange-tipped butterfly. So as another one that will seed everywhere, will take over your garden, but again it's easy to pull out and it's easy to snip the flower heads off after it's finished. Don't pull the plant out, just snip the flower seeds heads off, and you can control it that way. Lots and lots of honesty in there. All these seedlings, that's another one that can completely take over your garden. As you can see here, look at the seedlings. Those are all honesty seedlings. They'll be in flower next year. They're everywhere. Check by the hedge and honesty, both important for the orange-tipped caterpillar. I think we've got, this has come itself because, no mow May. I don't mow these edges every year. I've left them. And this looks to me like I've got cow parsley beginning to grow, and it looks like it's producing a flower head, so that's really good. Those are great because they're little like umbellifers, I think they're called, and they have a flat head, so great for the insects to land on. The insects that I don't seem to have in my garden at the moment. Cowslips have just gone over, loads and loads here of this bit here is actually full of ragwort. I really hope to show you some of the caterpillars later on in the year. It's also good as well having slightly long grass. You can see, I think you can just see a path in there. Can you see the path there? Hedgehogs, you can see where hedgehogs have been in your garden, or the foxtrots, like particular places. But last year when we had the hedgehog, you could just see where it was travelling in the garden. It just left trails everywhere. Good fun for that as well. Is there another weed? Oh yeah, here's another weed. This was a dominant plant in the garden when I moved in. It's the dreaded mare's tail. This grows in one or two places for me. Again, I just pull it out. Just control it by pulling it out in places. Don't pull it all out. I haven't got much of it now. But it was, if I turn you around, this bed here was absolutely full of it. There's just a little bit in it now. There's a couple of pieces there and there's a few at the back. But this was absolutely, when you see it in a thick mass, that's what this was like. And I've never used chemicals in my garden to control anything. I've just done hand pulling. So all of that's been controlled by hand pulling. So just pull it. It's easy to pull out. You don't pull the roots out. You'll never pull the roots out. They're so deep. But it weakens the plant. If it can't photosynthesize, it weakens the plant. So I do need to come in and pull one or two of these out. And I can see a little bit of couch grass, cleavers, where I don't want it. So this is coming out, this bit and this big piece here. So yeah, they come out quite easily. So that's a bit where I don't want it, so that can come out. Next, is there anything else? Oh, creeping buttercup. Here's another one. Meadow buttercup seems to be okay to have. Lots of people like that, but creeping buttercup people don't like. But again, look how much I've got. Not much. There's a little bit here. There's a bit further up the top of the garden. And again, it's controlled by pulling. And it goes to show. There's nowhere else here, look. A little bit, I think, is that creeping buttercup or meadow buttercup? Let's have a look. It'd be great if it was meadow as well. Let's have a look. Oh, this actually might be meadow buttercup. But look at the leaf. It's slightly different. I think this is meadow buttercup coming up. So that's lovely as well. Let's go back and look at the creeping buttercup. Here's the creeping buttercup. It's a bigger leaf and a bit more dominant, and it sends out these like runners. It touch the ground and root. But it's a beautiful flower. Look at it. It's absolutely stunning. It's almost like a double there. Look at it. Stunning little flower. So yeah, there's another terrible weed that can stay in my garden. I think that's probably the majority of the weeds in my garden that people don't like to have in theirs, and we'll pull it out and panic, we've got bindweed. When, again, as I mentioned, the mare's tail, which was in that border, when I came here, we just had a lawn. It was complete lawn all the way down, except to that big bed in the middle. There wasn't a flower bed there, the big flower bed down there. There was just 3 rose bushes planted, 3 random rose bushes. I've kept 2 of them. One wasn't very good, so it was a bit past its best, but I've kept 2. And then when I came up to the apple tree, you couldn't see the apple tree for bindweed. That was all bindweed. Well, actually, I don't get bindweed up here anymore. I just pulled all that out by hand. Again, as I said, I've never used a pesticide or a herbicide or anything in this garden. Everything's controlled by hand. So that was, I don't get any on this patch. I get it along this fence. But not anywhere. I can't even see any here at the moment, but I do get it along there. I see a little bit. Here's another one. It's the most beautiful blue, and this is the green alkanet. Normally alive with bees, but as I said, there's something going on this year because there are no insects in my garden. We've had hairy-footed flower bees. I've had a couple of early bumblebees. I can see 1 bee over on this. Let's have a look. I can see a couple of bees on the rose, on this rambling rose. Have a look what we've got without falling in the pond. Can't even see it now, it's flown off. I think there was a couple just on here. Oh yeah, there's one. I think it's at the top. It might be an early bumblebee male. I've got to watch because there's a nest in here. I think the robin's nesting in here now. Yeah, they're early bumblebees, males. There's one there, and I can see another one there. Is that the hairy-footed flower bee female? Might be a hairy-footed flower bee. So 3 bees. Normally that's just covered in solitary bees and bumblebees. I'm very concerned. Very, very concerned. I'll show you where we've got one, and normally this section of lawn is alive with orange-tailed bumblebee, solitary bees that nest in the ground, and we've got one. We've put a marker in so we don't damage it. There it is, little hole there that you can see, and that's it. We've got one. Now normally there's 10, 15 here. We've had lots. We didn't have any last year at all, and this year we've got one at the moment. Something's not right. I began noticing this a couple of years ago, really, and last year I did a video on where have all the bees gone. If we go up a bit further, I don't think there's any particular weed here. I planted this Welsh onion, is it? Or I'm not sure what it's called, but I know people don't like this in the garden. They say that that's invasive, but it's doing nicely there. It doesn't matter in my garden as it's a wildlife garden. I'm not worried about what takes over and what doesn't really too much, if it's feeding insects. So here's the other large section of alkanet. There we go. That's a male. I'm just about seeing. It's a male early bumblebee. It might be a worker actually. I can see if she's got pollen, if it's got pollen sacs. That's one. Oh, a mason bee. There's one mason bee. That's 2. There's usually honeybees on here. I can't even see any honeybees. There's a couple of honeybees at the back, I think. There's the beautiful dandelion, look. Moon and sunshine together. And the seed heads like the moon, and the flowers like the sunshine. So 1 or 2 more bees up here now. I can see a hoverfly. I can see another. Oh yeah, now I'm looking my eye in. I can see 1 or 2, and you're not going to hear it, but I can hear swifts. And if I pan up, there's a buzzard. Is it a buzzard? Yeah, there's a buzzard in the sky up there. You can't see it because it's too far away, but there's a buzzard up there. flying over. I don't think you can see it. That's nice. Normally the crows are attacking the buzzards as they fly over. So yeah, green alkanet, essential. And in the background there, my neighbour's wild bit of garden, which is lovely, are nettles. And here's my nettle bed. Let me turn you around. Here's my big nettle bed. Again, I don't get nettles anywhere else in the garden. I get the odd one and pull it out, but here I let them romp away. And in amongst it is the blackberry coming up, which we munch on. Oh, and the green alkanet, the other thing we've been finding on the green alkanet, another good reason to have it, is that we've been finding scarlet caterpillar. Oh gosh, the name's gone out of my head. Scarlet tiger moth caterpillar. Got it. Scarlet tiger caterpillars. Tiger? The scarlet tiger moth caterpillar. We've seen on this munching away. So, and we did have the moths in the garden last year, so that's great. Here's honeybees, look. But I'm not worried about honeybees. They're a farmed insect. They're a bit like the cows in the country. There's enough of them. It's the bumblebees. Oh, there's a tree bee. There's a tree bee feeding. If you can see it there. That's a tree bee. Very easily distinguished. Bright orange, copper orange at the top, and the white tail. I mean, it's very mild today, but yeah, no, not many insects about. Here's honesty. So this is all seeding this year. This is the absolute wild bit. I don't do anything up here. Whatever lands up here and flowers and roots and grows stays. The dandelions, green alkanet. It's nice to see the pyracantha's got flowers on. That can be hopefully attracting insects later. Sure, what's happened to the ivy in the background there? I think my neighbour must have used some kind of poison, because that's completely dead. So, unless he's cut it, hopefully he's cut it on his side. I don't like to see anything dead like that. And the dead hedge, the height of the dead hedge. Gosh, look at all this as well. This is all Jack by the hedge. Garlic, is it called garlic hedge? Oh, I don't know. It's called something. I only know it by Jack by the hedge. And yeah, look at the height of this dead hedge. Wow, I'm 5'3". In places this must be nearly 7 foot high. Brilliant. And the ivy is now beginning to grow up through it, which is really good. Complete wilderness up here. Did plant this dog rose and it seems to have taken, so that's good. It'd be nice if the dog rose takes through as well. My hazel is looking great. It seems to have taken ages to come into leaf. Why? Because it's too shady here for it. I don't have catkins on. Very noisy over there. I'm not sure what's going on over there. A bit noisy. Oh yeah, and look what's at the back. You see it? It's in my neighbour's garden. Japanese knotweed. It's never spread any further than that. There's one little piece there. It did used to go a little bit further along there, I think, but and I used to have a little bit in my garden here where the dead hedge is, but I think with all the dead hedge now, it just doesn't come up anymore in my garden. Yeah. And you can see next to this, why we don't get the hedgehog very often. This is where I think the hedgehog was coming through, and they use their garden as a bit of a dumping ground. So I don't think the hedgehog can get through if it wanted to. Yeah, wild isn't the word, but anyway, as long as it's quiet up there, the birds are happy. Yeah, I think that's most of the weeds in my garden that a lot of people don't like and don't accept, but do grow in my garden. As I want it to look nice, and I love sitting in it, but the main purpose is to encourage as much wildlife as possible. My hawthorn's flowered a bit better this year. It's only a small shrub, but it's actually flowered this year. I don't think it flowered last year. That's what's that called? Not dog rose. Can't remember what this is called. That's silly. It's gone out of my head. Has a lovely white flower on as well. A really important hedge plant. It'll come to me hopefully. Yeah, so yeah, some weeds I know people don't like, but oh, here's another big one that people don't like. Dock. There you go. Big docks growing. Important. Again, there's particular moths that feed on docks, and you can see it's been munched. Something's munching it. There's a munching hole. Look, that's proper munching. Yeah, but there are moth caterpillars that feed on docks, so it stays up here. It's not a problem. More dock there. More vetch. These are my potatoes growing amongst it all. Yep. Look at this. This is Granny's bonnet, or Aquilegia. Self-seeded. I haven't planted that. Gorgeous. And that's it really. The little catch-up. Clematis is looking great. It's Montana. This is the black elder, I think. It's got lots. This is my sister's favourite shrub in her garden. She died last year, sadly. So I brought one of those straight away. So it's to remind me of my sister Lorraine. It's a beautiful pink flower on it when it flowers. Yep. There we go. There's a catch-up in my garden. Oh look, here we go. There's another early. That's a female early bumblebee feeding on this geranium. And the forget-me-nots. Just want the sun to come out. Encourage more insects. It's taking too long for them to appear.